Well, dear Dr. Mahajer, you know that during 10-year crusade plan of the Beloved Guardian, a 9-year plan of the beloved House of Justice. All Baha'is all over the world, they are talking about mass conversion. Would you please explain a little about this? Because myself, I'm very anxious to understand what is the reality of this mass conversion.
Actually, this is, as you say, everything is started by beloved guardian in the world. Abdul Baha has had promised very much that the troops will come to the faith. And beloved guardian so beautifully put this idea in action by sending the pioneers throughout the world. So through his 10-year crusade, he made available the people of the world and the tribes to come to the faith through this pioneering, sending all over the world and scattering throughout the world. So the people and the tribes were just next door to us. And that started in 1956. For the first time, beloved guardian announced that the preliminary signs of coming of the troops to the faith is happening in far-off regions of the world. In that time, we have had in Gilbert Islands and Mentawai, and perhaps in West Africa, some villages coming to the faith. Abdul Baha has promised that the great masses of the world, like Indian, Chinese, African, will come to the faith. Also, he has said that the Africans will roar like a lion, roaring like the lions. And also, so all these things has happened, and especially beloved guardian emphasized very much teaching Red Indians in Latin America. And all this happened in his own time of beloved guardian. I mean, in Africa, in Pacific, and in South America, the masses, the troops start coming to the faith. But one thing very interesting is this, that beloved guardian has said that from any nation that the troops are coming to the faith, ultimately from the same people, same nation, masses will come to the faith. And he has explained that coming of the troops is a day long awaited, and coming of the masses is an hour long awaited. And he has explained that coming of the masses, when it's happened, then the faith will grow 1,000 times spiritually and materially, and numbers, 1,000-fold numerically will come to the faith. That hour perhaps is not yet come, but the troops are coming, and these troops, coming of the troops, is the beginning of that masses. So this is what we should look to the future. Now is the time that you tell us about your privilege being here in the presence of beloved guardian.
Well, I had this privilege to be with the guardian twice, as you know. Once, my first visit to Haifa and to meet the beloved guardian, it was in 1940, during the Second World War. At that time, the new building of the shrine was not yet been even in the plan, and the archives, international archive, was not existing. But in my second coming to Haifa and meeting the beloved guardian, it was 1954, we had both the shrine of the beloved Bab completed, and the new archives also was completed. So many friends, they are asking me to describe the beloved guardian, to portray him for them who did not visit him. And really, my answer always was that it is almost impossible, at least for me, because the beloved guardian, in one side, he was so human, I should say. Maybe this is not the right word to say. So human, so friendly, but the other side, he was so majestic as the guardian of the faith, that to combine these two together and explain to the friends, it is a really very difficult job. Then when I met the beloved guardian, I went back to the Will and Testament of Abdul Baha, and I saw the best way to describe the guardian, it refers to the Will and Testament, and quote that passage of the beginning of the Will and Testament of Abdul Baha about the beloved guardian. The most important part for me is when he says, the guardian is the sign of God and earth. I thought, now I can meet the guardian of the faith, whom I knew for a long time, and you know, as National Secretary of Persia, I was working under his supervision all the time. And in my imagination, he was so majestic, so serious, so dynamic and everything. And I said, I am a little creature of God. How I could go to the beloved guardian? But my dear, the moment I entered that corridor, as we say, a very narrow corridor in the master's house, I saw the beloved guardian standing outside at the door, and in very beautiful smiling, that he had really beautiful eyes, beautiful smiles, greeting us in Persian. بفرمایید بفرمایید منتظر شما بودم. And I saw he is my brother, really. He is my host, he is my brother. And he repeatedly said, most welcome, مرحبا, أهلا وسهلا, Bismillah, بفرمایید. And he invited us go in and sit down. Then really, in the same minute, everything was so beautiful for me. I was feeling so comfortable in that room with the guardian that I cannot imagine. In 1 second, everything, it was passed from me. My fear, my troubles, everything. And I felt myself that I am now in paradise. Then the beloved guardian turned to me asking, how are friends in Persia? And we had in those days some troubles, and I explained to the guardian. And the guardian knew all about, of course. Then he said, it will pass, it doesn't matter. The Baha'is must be firm, and these persecutions will pass, and they will see a very bright future. And then he insisted that when I will be back to Persia in the capacity of National Secretary, explain all about to the friends about the importance of 19-day feast. Because he asked me, are all friends participating in 19-day feast? Well, my answer was that almost all. Then he said, 19-day feast is not only the feast, it is not only celebration for the Baha'is. This is a real Baha'i parliament that everybody should go and express himself and help the local spiritual assembly and be informed about the all events that is happening in the Baha'i world, and be always in Quran. That was my first remembrance about the beloved guardian from my first visit.
That's great.
Around 1904, 1907, Abdul Baha built this part of the shrine of the Bab with the local stone and local workmen.
There was no super construction.
No. There was no outer construction. Yes. It was our beloved guardian who in 1948 decided finally to put this beautiful outer structures with material, marble, granite that came from Italy. And the entire building was prefabricated. Look at these beautiful columns here. These very huge pillars you see here, they come from a quarry which is in the northern part of Italy. You know where Lake Maggiore is? Yes. There is a mountain which is made of this very beautiful granite, and it is called Rose Baveno. Rose because of the color.
It's Lago Maggiore.
You've been there.
Yes.
Well, and rose because it is a pink color, yeah. But this is the most interesting point. See down here, there is this sequence of 9 terraces leading to Carmel Avenue. Now, the beloved guardian has written that the kings of the earth one day will come bare feet from the sea over these terraces and bring the crowns and put it at the threshold of the beloved Bab's tomb. And then there's something more important up there is the greatest name is a wonderful work of a sculpture made by a very fine artist. Yes. There are 2 bees opposite, like the hands, one opposite to the other, and there is also the greatest name in the middle, which means, O thou, the glory of the most glorious. And then I could tell you, I could stay here for about 2 days to describe every piece of a stone or marble which went into this building, the great work which was done. And known to such a perfection of the garden, I think the greatest joy in his life came from the construction of this beautiful shrine which fulfilled one of the wishes of Baha'u'llah and of course of the Master Abdul Baha.
And the surroundings are wonderful.
Oh, the surrounding!
It is deep meaning. The cypresses are standing around like in adoration.
Yes, Shag Effendi was a genius at planning gardens, and he would do this. I was with him several months in different places. In a few hours or maybe 3 or 4 days, he will plan the entire garden and have an army of gardeners put the things together, and beauty came just like by magic. Incredible, really incredible.
راه صلح فقط راهی است که حضرت بهاءالله در تعالیم خودشون معین فرمودند. ما یک جمعیت کوچک بایستی مقاومت داشته باشیم، بایستی پیش برویم به تعالیم حضرت بهاءالله که یگانه راه حل تمام مشکلات و اختلافات جنسی، نژادی، مذهبی و امثال اونها هست، همه را از بین ببریم و در این نقطه جمع شدیم برای همین که چیکار باید بکنیم. بیت العظم بایستی نقشه ها بکشن که این نقشه های آتیه را ما اجرا بکنیم در دنیا و بتوانیم واقعا امر الهی را در سراسر دنیا منتشر بکنیم و اشخاص منصف کوچکترین توجه اگر داشته باشند و با انصاف صحبت بکنند متوجه میشوند که راه چاره غیر از راه تعالیم از الله نیست.
و در بین مسائل آینده امر چه مسائلی بیش از همه مورد توجه واقع خواهد شد؟
مسئله که فوق العاده مهمه برای جامعه بهایی این است که بهایی باشیم، یعنی به تعالیم الهی کاملا رعایت بکنیم، اجرا بکنیم تعالیم الهی را. وقتی ما نمونه شدیم، سرمشق شدیم برای جامعه بشر که ما این تعالیم در دست داریم، البته تأثیرش 100 برابر این است که حرف بگوییم و عمل کم باشد.
دوستان عزیز، امروز 9 عید سعید رضوانه و ما در اینجا جمع شدیم برای انتخاب سومین بیت الاعظم. الان من وقت و غنیمت می‌شمارم در حضور جناب علایی به همه شما تحیات خالصانه خودم را ابلاغ می‌کنم. ملاحظه فرمودید اونچه که از بیانات جناب علایی مستفاد شد، ما وظایف خیلی خیلی بزرگ و سنگینی در آینده داریم و تمام وقت خودمون رو باید در این برنامه سوم تجهیز بکنیم برای هر چه بیشتر امر الهی رو در دنیا منتشر بکنیم. ما برای شما دعا میکنیم در آستان قدس الهی، رجا میکنیم که همه موفق باشید. شما هم در هر جا که هستید برای ما دعا بکنید. امیدواریم با این دعای متقابلی که ما در تمام دنیا میکنیم یک نیروی بزرگی برای ما از افق اعلی برسه و ما رو کمک بکنه که بقیه که نقشه های آینده رو با موفقیت انجام بدیم.
You know, this Rizwan is very significant because of the very many things that are taking place, of the election of the House of Justice, the revealing of the and printing of the Kitab-i Aqdas, the constitution of the Universal House of Justice, the 100th anniversary of the revealing of the Kitab-i Aqdas, also the 110th year of Baha'u'llah's departure from the gardens in Rizwan, and as well a significant proclamation period of all the communities in the world from April the 21st to May the 23rd.
May I first request Mr. Khadim to tell us something about the tablet of Carmel and his reminiscences of the days that he had been in the presence of the beloved guardian and what he said about the importance of this tablet.
Well, I'd like you speak first. Well, I think that as we sit in front of the throne of Baha'u'llah in the mountain, in the garden of Rizwan, I recall the first pilgrimage, my first pilgrimage in 1925. It was almost at this time that the beloved Shoghi Effendi said it was green and beautiful like today, and the beloved guardian said, indeed, this is the paradise. حقيقة معنى الجنة في الظاهر والباطن. And then he said, look, what was here 2 months ago during winter? There was nothing, and now green and beautiful. Then the guardian said, as ظاهر انوان الباطن, that means you tell me that
what happens in nature is the figure of humanity.
Yeah, and he said this is this symbolic to the progress of the cause of God. The cause of God will progress, will grow so rapidly as these greens that there was nothing 2 months ago, and now look what has happened. And since you are asking me to speak some of my memoirs about the tablet of Carmel, I remember that the beloved Shoghi Effendi very often spoke about the tablet of Carmel. Sometimes every day he spoke about it. And in fact he sat in front of a frame in the tablet of Carmel, which was framed and still is there in the guest house, and spoke so highly about that tablet. He said, let the friends pray for the prophecies of that tablet to be fulfilled. And he said from memory some parts of it. He bade me to memorize it and make a trip to Shiraz and Yazd and chant it for the Afghans, the relatives of the Bab. The beloved Shoghi Effendi said that the tent of Baha'u'llah was pitched up on the top of the Mount Carmel, maybe the same place now that we have obelisk, and the priests of the cave of Elijah were all standing with great reverence. Baha'u'llah called for pencil and paper and revealed the tablet in a loud voice. The beloved Shoghi Effendi said the melody of his voice, it impressed the priests very much, and he revealed that tablet. And then the guardian said the tablet remained incomplete. Baha'u'llah did not complete it. How earnestly we wish that he was with us and we could hear him, that wonderful I would chant that 2 verses, the Queen of Carmel. Ya malakat Carmel, alayka min at-tahiyyat atyabuha wa azkaha wa min as-salawat ajmaluha wa abhaha. Salutations from the beloved Shoghi Effendi to the Queen of Carmel, and now with all the glories and re-election of Universal House of Justice and the wonderful glories that we hear these days. I would like to ask Janab Faizi, since we are now in paradise, to tell us about the significance of this garden, and if he would give us a resume of the tablet of Baha'u'llah revealed on this holy spot.
We are sitting in the Rizwan garden. This garden had been prepared by Abdul Baha for the rest and comfort of Baha'u'llah, so that he would come here, take rest, and have a breath of fresh air here. As we are sitting, we are opposite to the place where Baha'u'llah used to always sit. In the olden days, there were 2 rivers running on the 2 sides of this garden. And in some places where you see, Baha'u'llah says, when we were in our verdant island, he means this island, because it's situated between 2 rivers. The rivers would meet at the end of the garden, and then by water was brought up for the irrigation of flowers and trees and everything. Of course, Baha'u'llah did not live here for long. He used to come for rest or for banquets and go back to the mansion. Just to illustrate this point, we brought this tablet which is hanging in that room at the end of the garden, and I would like to summarize it for you so that you will know what he felt when he came to the garden one day in the morning. He says, on a blessed Friday morning, we started from mansion coming to the garden of Rizwan. By the way, Abdul Baha called it Rizwan in memory of the Rizwan garden near Baghdad, which means paradise. Rizwan means paradise. Every tree, when we entered, he says, when we entered the garden, every tree uttered a word. Every leaf sang a song, a mention of God. The palm trees cried out and said, look at the relics of God, His mercy and His greatness. The two rivers we mentioned, the two rivers in an eloquent language uttered these words and said, from us, meaning water, all things are alive. Praise be God. These things were uttering words and manifesting secrets that everybody would be utterly astonished. And towards the end of the tablet, we come to certain sentences which indicate the great love and sympathy that Baha'u'llah had towards his friends throughout the world. He says, please convey my love and greetings to all the friends. I request the Lord to bestow upon them so that they'll be confirmed to render services which will be worthy of being mentioned in the presence of God. And I remind everyone that this is not the exact translation of the tablet, I just summarized it.
I have the great honor of dedicating
Hand of the Cause of God Amatul Baha Ruhiyya Khanum inaugurated all 7 Baha'i houses of worship currently in existence. These include those in America, Europe, Africa, Australasia, Latin America, the Pacific, and the Indian subcontinent. The beautiful Lotus Temple, as it's popularly referred to, is situated on the outskirts of New Delhi, India. Ever since its dedication in 1986, this edifice has not only won the admiration of thousands of its daily visitors, but also received numerous citations from professional bodies the world over for its unique structural design and beauty. The dedication of the House of Worship of Western Samoa was carried out in the presence of His Royal Highness Malietoa Tunamafili II, the King of Western Samoa. The visit of Hand of the Cause of God Dr. Jakeri to the Kingdom of Western Samoa was a most moving experience. Dr. Jakeri was greeted by the King of Samoa, His Highness the Malietoa, and other Baha'i friends. It was a source of immense joy to the many friends to welcome the beloved hand of the cause to their island. For many years, Dr. Jakeri had wished for such a visit and had decided to fulfill this wish before his passing. The friends subsequently flocked to the house of worship to join him and the Maliatoa for prayers. Despite his frailty, he expressed his immense love for them.
I would like to finish this reward, these few words, by remembering the beloved Master Abdul Baha and our most beloved guardian. Those are the two persons who inspired me to embrace the faith.
Dr. Jakeri's 93rd birthday celebration was his last. Soon thereafter, he passed away on the island of Samoa. No other band of disciples of any religion has travelled as far and as wide as have the Hands of the Cause of God. From their very early appointment, the Hands of the Cause have spread the message of their leader by travelling to distant lands, often being arrested, beaten, and imprisoned for their beliefs. Undeterred, they carried out their mission of peace, love, and brotherhood. Thankfully, in later years, they travelled with more ease and freedom to promulgate the teachings of their faith, the oneness of mankind, the oneness of God, and the oneness of his messengers. To all corners of the world they went, touching the hearts of the people they met, and instilling love for mankind, for the central figures of the faith, and in particular for their beloved guardian. Time allows only a few excerpts to be shown. Amongst the legendary travels are those of Dr. Rahmatullah Muhajir, who in 1954 pioneered with his wife Iran Furutan to the Mentawai Islands of Indonesia, a penal colony known for its malaria, tuberculosis and skin disease. Despite the hardships, he persevered and brought the teachings along with medical assistance to many native people. He was responsible for the formation of numerous local spiritual assemblies and Baha'i schools, and was elected to the Regional Assembly of Southeast Asia in 1957. Praised by the Guardian for his services, he was named a Hand of the Cause in that same year.
Beloved Guardian has this. Every pioneer who is going out of his community for pioneering, he is not only inspiring, and are useful for future posts that he's going, also he is a source of help and inspiration in his own community. The bounty of God will come to every community that he's sending a pioneer. We must know that. So one must encourage the pioneers to go, we must prepare for them to go, we must arrange for them to go, and be sure that where they're going, they have some effect on the receiving, and some great bounty of Baha'u'llah are sending the pioneers. I hope that really you contact immediately to your institutions and committees and volunteer yourself and consult if you have some minor problems, and be sure that Baha'u'llah is with you and will take your hand, and you will reach the goals, and you will do a greater service for the faith.
His unique exploits in the pioneering field continued without respite for a further quarter of a century until his sudden passing in 1979 in Ecuador, where he was laid to rest. Agnes Alexander, Hawaii's first Baha'i, was responsible for opening the faith in the Pacific region in 1901. Abdu'l-Baha's exhortation to her to visit Japan came in the summer of 1914, at the outset of the First World War.
This message from Abdu'l-Baha, that it was best that I should go directly to Japan and while there be engaged in spreading the fragrances of God.
She travelled extensively with other Baha'i teachers, some of whom were honoured as hands upon their passing, such as Martha Root, and with Keith Ransom Kaler. Preeminent amongst the many historic journeys of the Hands of the Cause were the epic world-encircling tours of Amatul Baha Ruhiya Khanum. She travelled to some 185 countries, independent territories, and major islands, meeting with people from all strata of society, from dignitaries and heads of state to simple villagers.
A very, very long way to see your faces again.
He venido desde muy, muy lejos para ver vuestras caras nuevamente.
And I cannot tell you how happy I am to be here. I appreciate very, very much what they said, but in coming to the village, we are remembering the words of Baha'u'llah himself. He said that the city is the home of the body, but the country is the home of the soul.
Another historic journey was that of Hand of the Cause Ali Akbar Furutan, who was raised in Ishqabad, Russia, and whose most cherished desire, following a promise made to him by Shoghi Effendi, was to return to the former Soviet Union.
به خدمات امریه مشغول گردید. امیدوارم در مستقبل ایام در ممالک روسیه نیز به خدمات باهره جلیله مفتخر شوید. بنده آستانش شوقی.
Following the collapse of communism, he visited Baha'is in 8 cities across 4 republics, creating an extraordinary spirit of enthusiasm amongst devoted Baha'i friends who had been isolated for years from the rest of the world. The elevation of seemingly ordinary believers to the rank of Hand of the Cause of God had an extraordinary effect on their lives. Shock, disbelief and unworthiness seem to have been typical initial reactions.
Jalal, how did you feel when you were appointed a Hand of the Cause?
You see, I was traveling in Persia to visit all the centers as beloved guardian instructed me. To visit the isolated center, you should prefer the isolated center to the group centers and the group centers to the local assembly centers. So I was traveling in the east of Persia, in the villages. For 20 days I was elevated to the rank of the Hand of the Cause, but I was the only one who didn't know anything about it. But the friends in Persia, they knew that I am. So after 20 days, in one of these villages, one person came from the city of Mashhad and said, Mr. Khazif, we are searching you in the earth, you are in the skies, where are you? So I said, what's the matter? He said, I congratulate you, you became a hand. I said, don't say that. How can I be a Hand of the Cause? He said, believe me, you became a Hand of the Cause. And then that was 4 o'clock in the morning, so tears ran down from my eyes. And then I went and chanted the long obligatory prayer in that time. That was the prayer which never again I can read the same way that I did. So soon I came to Mashhad and I received the cable of Beloved Guardian, And then I wrote back, such a bounty that beloved guardian has given to me. It is honor for me and for my descendants. But the future is in my hand. Whether follow your instructions and become near to the paradise of your nearness, or neglect and go to the hell of foreignness, what you call it, such a thing. And then, please, this is a great heavy burden on my shoulder, and please help me that I could carry this burden and with the good endings of my life.
When we arrived in the room, our beloved guardian turned to my husband and said, "You know, I was very busy last few weeks, and I appointed some more hand of the cause, and you are one of them." When he mentioned you are one of them, I turned to my husband. I thought now he's transferring to something else. Really, I was shocked, happy, excited. I didn't know what to say. Then he gave us some instruction, and he turned to me and said, "Now you must go and help your husband and serve the faith." My husband was crying and begging him, "I am not worthy. Please give this bounty to my son-in-law, Ali." And guardian said, "No, this is your reward. His time will come."
Then Janab Waliullah Varqa, trustee of Hukuk and hand of the court, passed away. Cable came to National Assembly through Khadim, addressed to Secretary, I was Secretary of National Assembly, informed Dr. Varqa, he is trustee of Hukuk and hand of the court. Immediately I went to their house because it was the guardian's cable, I should give immediately. They had memorial meeting for Janab Waliullah Varqa, who passed away in Stuttgart in Germany, you know that. I said, "Janab Varqa, I have the cable from the guardian, I read. You are appointed trustee of Hukuk." The moment I said that, he stood up and said, no, I am not trustee of Hukuk. He went out from the room. And many people, they were amazed. Why he did? Then I read the rest of cable to others and hand of the course, but he didn't know that. He didn't hear that. Just trustee of Hukuk, he went out. Then he came to the room. Everybody greeted him. "Janab Varqa, your hand of the court." He said, no, I am just trustee of Hukuk. I said, "Janab Varqa, come and sit next to me. You should read the cable of the guardian." He said, "Trustee of Hukuk and hand of the cause of God, this is his cable. Accept that." You don't know what happened to him. He began to leave and cry. That is the guardian. And I tell you, in the conclusion, I met Hazrat Ahmadul Baha. I met all 32 hands of the cause. I met them personally. Everybody thought that they are not worthy to be hand of the cause. I couldn't find even one to say, "Oh, all right, the guardian appointed me hand of the cause."
Well, I can remember when he told me that he's going to make me hand of the cause after my father passed away, and I didn't like it at all.
Yes.
And I wept and I wept and I wept and I begged and I begged and I begged, but it didn't do any good.
He did the same.
Well, that makes two of us. She was so devoted to him. But in speaking about her, in a telegram to the Baha'is of Canada, he said, "She who is destined to be my helpmate, my shield from the darts of the covenant breakers, my indefatigable collaborator in my arduous labors." And that is what she was.
Mr. Khadim, speaking at the Irish Baha'i Summer School in 1984.
The beloved Chobi Effendi praised him, the best writer in the faith, George Townsend. I wish he were there. But he was the essence of love, enthusiasm, and humility. The moment I asked him to tell us something, he pressed my hands. And he said, you have come from the Holy Land. You must bring the fragrance of the Holy Land to us. And he didn't speak.
In view of the exceptional honours bestowed on him by Shoghi Effendi, today this bust of George Townsend represents a symbol of scholarly achievement and is awarded in his memory to deserving publishers by the Association of Baha'i Publishers. Mr. Robarts speaks about his fellow hand, Mr. Banani.
The Guardian expressed the fact that he was the father of Africa. And he was so greatly loved by so many people. And when I began to tell him the things that the Guardian had said about him, he was embarrassed. He didn't want me to go on. He wanted me to stop. But he just didn't feel he could take these beautiful things. But the Guardian loved him very much.
I remember that I wrote to him one time because whenever I want an answer to the question, that's why I said today you will meet really one of the learned in Baha, of whom the Blessed Beauty spoke. Whenever I want to know an answer to a question that's difficult, I write to Mr. Faizi, and he answers quickly. So I told him his name, that AQ is not really for Abul Qasim, that's for answers questions. And that the F for Faizi is also for fast, because he is a source of no ending help to me. I always know where to turn if I want an answer to a difficult question. And then I'm always asking him to read to me out of the books. When we were in the Holy Land, when the hands we were serving in the Holy Land, and we'd be at the mansion meeting at one of our great gatherings, I would get Mr. Faizi to stay up late, and we'd go outside by the light on the mansion looking out over toward the sea, toward Akka, and I'd ask him to read to me from the Persian books I couldn't understand. This time I wanted to hear from the Farayed by Mirza Abul Fazl. And he's reading to me, and we're laughing and having a wonderful time, and all of a sudden the door from the beloved Guardian's room where he used to stay in the mansion opened, and Amatul Baha, Ruhia Khanum, stuck her head out, and she said, will you two mujtaheads go to bed so the rest of us can sleep? So you know how close and tender I feel about Mr. Faizi. And during those days after the sign of God on earth, the beloved of our hearts, winged his flight to his everlasting nest, he was a great source of joy to all of us. His love for the beloved Guardian, for that precious pearl that hath gleamed from out the twin surging seas, that sacred bough that hath branched from out the twin holy trees, you will feel here this afternoon, I'm sure. I didn't know Mr. Faizi at all when Marguerite went on pilgrimage, but she came back and she said in her notes, she was reading them to me, and some of the friends at the table wanted to know, how should we teach the cause of God, beloved Guardian? And he said to look at Faizi, who was then in the Arabian Peninsula, Bahrain. No ability to talk to anyone in that hostile country, moving from place to place amongst the friends. And they had such tender love for him. He lived the life, of course. The distinguishing characters of the Baha'i community he exemplified in his personal life. So to paraphrase my friend Robert Quigley, it is an honor and a joy for me to be on the same continent with him, to be in the same hemisphere, to be in the same state, in the same city, and to be even in the same room with the tender and dear, loving fellow hand of the cause, Abul Qasim Faizi.
I would like to begin with what the beloved Master has said about Hands of the Cause. He said Hand of the Cause is not a title, is not a rank or position. It's not hereditary. Whoever serves the cause of God is a Hand of the Cause.
One evening he spoke of
of the studying the teachings, deep study, and he said that no Baha'i today had time for much research outside of the teachings with their daily labors and their professions, but that they should go deeply, deeply into the teachings.
Of course, your pilgrimage in Haifa begins when you take the hand of the revered guardian in that wonderful, long, low dining room where he has dinner with the Western pilgrims, and you feel his love for us all. And it ends when your eyes rest for the last time on his beloved face. And then in between, he crowds so much upon you for the believers, the American believers, and the believers around the world, that your feeling of inadequacy reduces you to a fleck of dust.
Shag Effendi never spoke of himself. And one of the things that interested me very much is when he was talking about the cause and its development. He'd speak about the conditions in the days of the Bab. And he'd speak about the conditions and the activities of the faith in the days of Baha'u'llah. And he'd speak about the conditions and the activities of the faith in the days of Abdul Baha. And then he would speak about the faith in the days after Abdul Baha. He never said in the days of the Guardian or in my period of administration, but he always referred to the days after Abdul Baha.
Of course, after the passing of the beloved Guardian, nothing seemed too important, except to carry out the work of the faith and his wishes, and to drown our troubles, as he said, in an ocean of new believers. The remains of our beloved Guardian are entombed there outside of London at Southgate Cemetery. Great-grandson of Baha'u'llah, grandson of Abdul Baha, descendant of the Bab, of the twin figures of our faith and messengers of our faith, sign of God on earth. We don't even have a glimpse of his wonder yet. Here in this marvelous book, of course, there's very beautiful. But someday we'll really begin to learn who he is, that wonderful, wonderful guardian of ours. Behold, behold, he is the blessed and sacred bough that hath branched from out the twin sacred trees, the priceless pearl that hath gleamed from out the twin surging seas. That's where the title of this book, of course, came from, The Priceless Pearl. And he was far more than that. The last time I met him, we all remembered that when the time came and the Guardian was about to leave, he would, with those graceful, beautiful hands, he would twist his serviette until finally, when he had made his point, he would pick it up firmly and set it in front of them, arise and go out that wondrous door. And there would be sometimes 5 minutes of utter silence because we still dwelled in the enchantment of his presence. And to ourselves inside, of course, thinking of me, and the others said they did the same, we never breathed a word, but inside, as we saw those hands move toward the serviette and turn it a little, you'd say inside, don't touch the serviette, don't touch the serviette, don't touch the serviette. And eventually, of course, he would, and then he would leave us. And then on the final day, the beloved Guardian said, I hope you will return someday with some of your African children. Well, I did. But the beloved Guardian was no longer with us. In 1963, at the first election of the Universal House of Justice, sole refuge of a tottering civilization, source of all good, freed from all error. What a wonderful occasion. And I was going in the entrance to the gate up the marble steps, and I bumped into one of my African children. We met there at the entrance to the Shrine of the Bab. I saw William. We came face to face. And the minute I saw him, I remembered those wonderful words of our beloved guardian. And I hugged him. And William said to me, "Today, Bill, my eyes are leaking love for the beloved guardian." And I told him, "William, mine too. And they always will. Please remember me in your prayers."
The topic closest to the hearts of the Hands of the Cause of God was devotion and servitude in the path of their Lord. In the heroic age of the faith, during the lifetimes of Baha'u'llah and Abdul-Baha, this ultimately meant martyrdom. As was the case for Balwa and his son Ruhullah. In the formative age that followed, other forms of sacrifice were called for. The Hands of the Cause, appointed by the Guardian, toiled day and night to live up to the high station to which they had been promoted. Although they could never emulate him, they looked to the Guardian as their example. He was their source of inspiration and guidance, and remained so long after he had passed to the Abha kingdom. They recounted his words and deeds, cherished every precious memory of him, and reminded their audience of the Master's reference to Shoghi Effendi in his will and testament as the sign of God on earth. As chief stewards, they saw that their supreme mission after Shoghi Effendi's passing was to navigate and bring safely to harbour their beloved leader's 10-year global spiritual plan, and to hand over the reins of power to the then-elected First Universal House of Justice. The example set by this band of modern-day heroes and heroines of the faith will remain a shining beacon for generations to come. The legacy they leave behind will last forevermore.